We know kings and queens ruled nations, but have you ever wondered how they ruled nature? Behind the velvet curtains and golden thrones lay a truth far less glamorous. Even royalty had to go. From gold-plated chamber pots to attendants wiping royal bottoms, today we're flushing away the myths and revealing the real bathroom secrets of royalty. Get ready. It's time to lift the lid on history's most private moments. We call it the throne, but for royalty, going to the bathroom was anything but glamorous. Long before modern toilets existed, kings and queens had their own private way of doing their business, and yes, it was surprisingly undignified. In medieval Europe, monarchs used a close stool, a fancy wooden chair with a chamber pot hidden underneath. These stools were padded, often upholstered in velvet, and sometimes even had a lid to keep things discreet. But here's the strangest part, they didn't go alone. Royals had attendants, known as groom of the stool in England, whose job was to assist the king in the most private moment of the day. That meant preparing the chair, cleaning it after use, and sometimes even wiping. As strange as it sounds, this role was a position of power and trust. The groom had daily access to the monarch, heard private conversations, and it often became one of their closest advisors. So, next time you sit on your toilet in peace, be grateful you don't need a velvet chair or a royal assistant. Long before flush toilets were invented, kings and queens still had to go. But they didn't use just any chamber pot or outhouse. Royalty had their own version of the throne, quite literally. Some monarchs sat on elaborately carved wooden chairs with hidden holes beneath them. These close stools were lined with velvet or fine fabrics and placed over a container. Servants called grooms of the stool were tasked with assisting the king in this private ritual. Yes, it was a real job, and a prestigious one. Being a groom of the stool meant close daily access to the monarch. These attendants often became trusted advisors and powerful figures in court. In France, King Louis XIV reportedly held audiences while sitting on his royal commode. He believed that power and biology could coexist, and his courtiers, desperate for influence, didn't dare object. Hygiene, well, minimal. These thrones weren't always cleaned thoroughly. The idea of sanitation was secondary to decorum and status. If it looked regal, it was good enough. To the royals, even relieving themselves was a public performance of power and privilege. Their bathroom wasn't hidden, it was designed to reinforce the idea that everything they did mattered. You've heard the phrase sitting on the throne, but for royalty, that was more literal than you'd expect. Some monarchs had actual throne-like toilets, ornate chairs with hidden chamber pots underneath. Louis XIV of France, for example, held court while relieving himself. Yes, nobles would enter his chamber and discuss state matters while he sat on his toilet throne. It was called the chaise percée, and it was more than a toilet. It was a symbol of absolute power. In England, the royals had their own versions too, from portable velvet-covered commodes to built-in close stools with embroidered lids. These weren't just functional. They were royal furniture, and unlike commoners, kings and queens didn't handle the cleanup themselves. That job belonged to a special attendant with an awkward title, the groom of the stool. It might sound like the worst job in history, but the groom of the stool was actually one of the most trusted and powerful positions in the royal court. This royal servant was responsible for helping the king with his bathroom duties, including managing the monarch's chamber pot and ensuring privacy. But this intimate role came with a surprising perk: direct and daily access to the ruler. Because of this closeness, the groom of the stool often became a confidant and political advisor, influencing royal decisions and wielding incredible power, proof that even in the world of kings, toilet politics were real. The position existed mostly in Tudor and early Stuart England, especially under monarchs like Henry VIII, and faded out as sanitation modernized. If you think royal thrones were only symbolic, you're only half right. For centuries, real thrones came with a hole in the seat and a royal behind on top. In medieval times, castles relied on garderobes, primitive stone toilets built into castle walls. Waste simply dropped down into the moat or a pit. No flush, no privacy, just cold draughts and the faint hope that the smell wouldn't follow you to dinner. Royalty, however, had slightly better options. Many monarchs used portable chamber pots, beautifully decorated and emptied by servants. The task fell to a peculiar royal position. The groom of the stool, this trusted courtier, was responsible for assisting the king with his royal business. Yes, wiping included. By the Tudor period, kings like Henry VIII had velvet-covered commodes and perfumed rooms to mask odors. Still, there were no flushing toilets, and waste had to be manually removed. Things changed dramatically in the 18th century. Sir John Harrington, a godson of Queen Elizabeth I, invented one of the first flushing toilets in the late 1500s, but it wasn't widely adopted. Royalty remained skeptical until the Victorian era. With the rise of indoor plumbing, Queen Victoria's palaces installed water closets with pull chains and porcelain bowls. This was the beginning of the toilet revolution, cleaner, quieter, and far more dignified. By the 20th century, royal residences boasted luxurious bathrooms with marble fixtures, heated floors, and full plumbing systems. Today's monarchs enjoy modern amenities just like the rest of us, only far more opulent. From cold stone seats to golden bidets, the royal journey to toilet luxury has been long, strange, and surprisingly revealing. Traveling was never easy in the past, especially when nature called, but royalty didn't leave their bathroom comforts behind. Instead, they traveled with portable toilets, sometimes entire toilet tents, servants and equipment to ensure they could go in style. Royal entourages often included special attendants responsible solely for managing the monarch's bathroom needs while on the road. In military campaigns or diplomatic journeys, these arrangements were essential. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, royals carried collapsible wooden stools with built-in pots disguised in embroidered leather or velvet. They were elegant, discreet, and most importantly, mobile. Even in discomfort, image mattered, because being royal meant never being seen in a compromising position, even when you had to go. As time passed, royal bathrooms evolved dramatically, reflecting changes in architecture, technology, and social norms. In medieval castles, bathrooms were primitive. Royals often used garderobes, stone chambers with holes that dropped waste directly into the moat or a pit below. These spaces were cold, drafty, and far from private, but they were considered luxurious at the time. By the Renaissance and Baroque periods, monarchs began commissioning private chambers and closets of ease within palaces. Yet chamber pots and closed stools remained the norm. It wasn't until the 18th and 19th centuries, especially during the Victorian era, that royal residences began to include flush toilets and plumbing. Queen Victoria had some of the first modern bathrooms with bathtubs and flushing systems, though many royals still relied on servants to manage their hygiene. In the 20th century, the shift toward privacy, sanitation, and comfort finally reached royal standards. Palaces like Buckingham Palace now feature fully equipped modern bathrooms, a world away from medieval moats and velvet chamber pots. From open garderobes to golden toilet seats, royal bathrooms reflect not only personal preferences but centuries of changing ideas about privacy, technology, and what it means to be clean. Royalty has always fascinated the world, but behind the crowns, jewels, and palaces lie very human habits. From chamber pots draped in silk to elaborate rituals of wiping and washing, the way kings and queens did their business was shaped by belief, tradition, status, and sometimes pure superstition. What's clear is this: even the most powerful rulers couldn't escape the call of nature. But how they answered that call reveals surprising truths about history, hygiene, and the way societies evolve. So next time you flush your modern toilet in the comfort of a private bathroom, remember you might just be living more luxuriously than the kings and queens of old. If you enjoyed this peek behind royal doors, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow history lovers. Got a favorite strange royal habit, or want us to explore another curious topic? Leave it in the comments. There's plenty more royal weirdness and everyday history to uncover, right here on Wonder History.